FocalPoint Coach, you must sound confident, knowledgeable, and credible in front of your clients and your prospects. Whether you are facilitating at your CE event or you have been asked by a professional group to speak at their weekly or monthly meetings, when your presentations are more powerfully persuasive, you make an inevitable impression on your audience. If that speaker is you, it is a great way to maximize your time, expand your networking, and acquire new CE clients. Thank you for everybody for the opportunity today, and I'd like to introduce you to a friend and a colleague, Patricia FRIPP. Patricia is an Extra Credits client that has built a thriving service business and is a colleague of Brian's. Patricia's superb speaking skills led her to become the first woman president of the National Speakers Association. She is now a Hall of Fame keynote speaker, globally sought after executive speech coach, and an in-demand presentation skills trainer. Patricia is also well known within the Toastmasters organization, and Kiplinger's Personal Finance wrote, Patricia Fripp speaking skills training is one of the best ways to invest in you. So Patricia, I'm going to let you take it away.
Well, hello, everybody. And as you know, outside the privacy of our own homes, all speaking is public speaking. There is no such thing as private speaking. And I know in your professional lives, you are all good speakers. So what I'm suggesting we do is look at some of the techniques that makes a good speaker great, and we're going to put them under the magnifying glass. So for example, if you were to ask me if there is one secret to giving a powerful presentation, as a game show host and Emmy Award-winning TV interviewer asked me, at first I said, oh, there's no one secret. And then I realized, although there is no one secret, if there were, it would be that your subject is of interest to your audience. So we as speakers and coaches and consultants always need to find a way that our subject resonate with our audience, be it 1, 5, 50, or 500. And the way we do that is to understand there are two ways that we connect to an audience, intellectually and emotionally. So if you think of it this way, the logic will make people think. And if we are asking people to invest in our services, if we're asking them to change their way of thinking, it has to make analytical, logical sense. However, emotion makes people act. And if we can emotionally connect and our message makes perfect sense to them, they are more likely to either adopt our ideas, at least try them, or perhaps select us to do business with. And there are three ways that we emotionally connect to an audience. One is through eye contact. And certainly if we have an audience, we're going to make piece of the pie eye contact. If it is around a boardroom table, there might be the economic buyer in front of us. And what many professionals do is focus on the economic buyer. And my point of view is that if there are other individuals, they might not have the power to say yes, but they probably have the power to sabotage the yes and make it a no. So we need to have equal eye contact. Now, if we have an audience of 50 or 500, you might want to deliver your opening line to somebody you can see and then make sure we involve everyone. Jerry Seinfeld says, you always have to play to the cheap seats first. In fact, with a large audience, if you have a balcony, he says, acknowledge them and then they will stay with you when they know that you know they're there. So you emotionally connect, one, with eye contact, two, with stories. And we know one of the most powerful ways to certainly explain the complex or to emotionally connect is to use stories and examples that they can see. And our stories are going to have characters, And what makes stories better is when you drive them forward through dialogue. And we'll pick that up later. So emotionally connect, eye contact, stories, and 3, by you focused language. So for example, how many of speakers and consultants have you seen that say, I am going to talk about? Now, it's not that there's anything wrong with it, but you're more likely connect to the audience if you use you focused language. What you will learn, what you will discover, what you will hear. And if you listen to one of your recordings, and I recommend that you do record rehearsals, or you record live presentations or your side of conversations on the phone, just to listen and put what you are saying under the magnifying glass, which means take a closer look and hear how often you say I, especially at the beginning of the sentence. Can you, in fact, perhaps make more of a you focus? Then, so that's emotional connection. And one of the most powerful ways to always take a good speech and make it great, a good conversation and make it more persuasive, and find that you can make this subject of interest to your audience when you emotionally connect. The second, of course, we mentioned is stories. Stories certainly explain the complex. Stories illustrate that none of us get to be a success alone. And we all have a treasure trove of life experiences that is great if we can illustrate them. And stories are seen by our audience, because although we use words to communicate, our audience remembers in images. And here's a dirty little secret about the training industry, which we are all in. And that is, even with compelling content, that we do our very best to make engaging and interesting, we are lucky if 2 weeks after, they remember 30% of what they were engaged in. So all these techniques are important, but we still need to find a way for repetition and reinforcement of the message that we have. The third way is a simple structure. How can you remember the logical outline? So when you stand up, you hold the outline in your mind. And your structure is always built around a premise, the big idea, a dominant theme. Whenever I talk to a coaching client, I always ask them the same question. If you had one sentence rather than 45 minutes, what would you say? And if they answer in a paragraph, I say, well, I'm sorry, unfortunately, your message isn't clear enough. So a central theme. And if you're taking notes, you might want to write this formula down. Go down the page, can, subject of your talk, result, how, question mark, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now let's put this in one of my presentations just to illustrate it. One of my regular presentations I deliver every year for the American Payroll Association is selling yourself and your ideas to your senior management. So if you think, who is the audience? Payroll managers. So my premise is every payroll manager can sell themselves and their ideas to the senior management. Now, if I was across the desk and somebody said, oh, what are you going to talk about? And I said, well, every payroll manager can sell themselves and their ideas to their senior management. They'll probably say, oh, I want to do that. How do I do that? If you state it in the presentation, and sometimes we state our premise, sometimes we lead in it to another way from our opening. Your premise statement is not usually your opening line. It's good to have some introduction that leads into your premise. And then how we structure our presentation is to prove our premise. Make a case based on our audience. So for example, in this case, every payroll manager can sell themselves and their ideas to the senior management. So then they were thinking, okay, how do I do that? And then we would list, say, 3 or 4 talking points that then become developed into chunks of content. So in a speech structure, you start with a skeleton, you start with a simple outline. Now, perhaps what you might do is set, especially if you have a softer subject, you might want to sell the result. So for example, every payroll manager can get promoted. Oh, I want to do that. How do I do that? By learning to sell themselves and their ideas to the senior management. Oh, good. Give me the steps. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that is a simple structure. Now, the first 30 seconds and the last 30 seconds have the most impact. And you don't always or usually write the opening first unless you have a handful of classic openings that you'd like to use. So with that, Lisa, after those first 3 of the 5 we're going to look at, do we have any questions or comments?
Fantastic. Thanks, Patricia. Does anybody have any questions or comments for Patricia? And just please disengage your mute of your video and your audio at this time. Go ahead, John Witt.
Hi. So I'm struggling trying to take notes and listen and you know, get this straight in my head. But you said 3 of the 5 things we're going to talk about, and somewhere along the line that didn't connect with me. I'm not certain the 5 that we're going to talk about and how we just covered 3 of them. Or are the 3 that we talked about eye contact, stories, and you-focused language?
Okay, actually the 3 is I started with emotional connection, and there are 3 ways to emotionally connect. So you're taking good notes, and don't worry, John, what we're going to do, I will send a speech diagram that Lisa will send to you. So that's fine. So, but you're taking very good notes. So the first is emotional connection, which is eye contact, focus, language, and stories. The second point was picked up on certainly stories help clarify the complex. Stories, we know, if I asked you, who's your favorite speaker? And what did they talk about? And the chances are you might say, well, they talked about this and they told a great story about it. We remember the stories. And the third of the 5 ways is a simple structure.
Okay, got it.
You can hold the overview in your mind, and so can the audience. Now, of course, once you have the simple structure, you do fill in your stories, examples, your statistics, your case histories, your call for actions, but it starts with the skeleton under the flesh of your words.
Thank you, Patricia. Does anybody else have any questions about the 3 topics that Patricia's been speaking about?
Not a question, but thank you both. This is a very interesting topic and well presented.
Thank you very much. And what we will do in just a few minutes is we can, if you would like to think about your next presentation or sales conversation, because we all have to drive business for us to be able to present and have content that people, of course, can get CE credits for. So whether if you want to open your sales presentation or a presentation, we can actually tweak your openings and do some mini coaching. So then, of course, another of the techniques, which I would say my Fab 5, is specificity builds credibility. And this is one of my biases. I'm on a crusade and failing miserably. And that is to clean up sloppy language. And as we look at our words under the magnifying glass, let's look at 2 specific words. One is the word STUFF. which I will not say out loud, but one should only use that word when you're talking about what are you doing with your turkey at Thanksgiving. Because that word means rubbish, debris. It is such a high level of abstraction, we don't know what someone are talking about. Now, how often have you heard speakers say, oh, you're speaking for IBM. What are you going to do for them? Oh, I'm giving them all my best STUFF. You're talking about your content. You're charging this client $5, $10, $15, $20,000, and you're talking about it as debris. And then even worse, have you noticed, we say is, oh, I went on vacation and we had such a great time, met interesting people, went to wonderful places, stayed in great hotels, and all that STUFF. So what happens is, when we finish speaking, stop. Don't add and debris at the end. The next word, and it's understanding the difference between conversation and conversational sounding presentations. A conversation is back and forth. A conversation is, there's no agenda. So in those cases, you are excused if you have run-on sentences, if you change subjects without a good transition, which my friends accuse me of. I'm now aware, and I now say, let us now change the subject to this. We use non-specific language, and this word I'm talking about is thing, T-H-I-N-G. It is excusable when you don't think in advance what you're going to say. However, a sales presentation or a specific speech or presentation, you think about in advance and you analyze what is the best way for you to say that. Now let's just look at the title and the premise of presentations. I have coaching camps with Darren LaCroix, one of my pals who is a past international Toastmaster world champion of public speaking. And I was sitting in the back of one of our coaching camps, and I kept hearing people stand up and say some version of, oh, the one thing that's going to make you successful, the 3 things you have to do to drive business. And I kept thinking, what do they really mean that will make their language sound more valuable? And in the back of the room, I came up with 39 suggestions without thinking very hard. Now, just take the sentence. There is one thing that will make you successful. How about there is one strategy that will make you successful? There is one habit. There is one formula. There is one philosophy. So can you see whether it's habit, strategy, goal, technique, tip, what all those suggestions sound more valuable than thing, and they're more specific. I would also have you embrace adjectives. So, for example, how about you are invited to a life-changing, career-building, income-producing seminar? Look at, you're invited to a seminar. Well, give me some adjectives that make me sound excited. Oh, that's something I might want. Let me at least read the copy. So 1, we have our emotional connection. We have stories. We have speech structure. We have razor sharp specificity. How about another word? And this we hear all the time, tons. Now imagine you have an associate that you send to a trade show to drive business for you. And they come back and they say, boss, got tons of leads. Oh, come on. If you had tons of business cards, you could not get out of the room. You cannot imagine tons, lots, many, plenty. What you can manage is, at a trade show, we had lots of activity. And we estimate that we had 300 people through the booth during the 2 lunchtimes. We found 56 of our clients who were genuinely interested in having us there and having a conversation. 12 of them asked for a demonstration of our new product. Some of, probably 30%, really they were interested, but they weren't prospects for us. 32 showed genuine interest, and based on our 5 qualifying questions, they all qualified, and the internal sales team has already made appointments with 20. The rest will be followed up within the next week. That you can manage. And then let's go, when we mentioned it with openings, is how do you open your presentation? How do you open your sales conversation? So with that, Lisa, let's focus on opening of a speech or opening of a sales presentation. Who would like us, which would they like us to do first? Either sales presentation or opening of a speech.
What would you guys like? I think opening of a speech or opening of a course presentation or opening of a collaboration with a one-to-one coaching client probably would be really valuable. How do they start that? How do they engage it?
Okay, good. Well, let's look at a speech first. And your presentation starts long before you actually get introduced and you stand on stage. So one, I would recommend you use the schmooze factor. As people are coming in, you wander around, you shake hands. Now that means you have to be there early, you have to be prepared. You've got everything set up because and if people come in really early and I'm setting up the PowerPoint or getting organized, I'll say, great to have you here. Once I'm set up, then I will come and be polite. Because we all know people who are really early, they don't realize that we have our routines to go through, and that's very important. So then when everything's all set up, I'll go shake hands and talk to people and just schmooze, ask them questions. Many times I will tie their comments into what I'm going to say. Now let's look at, there are times when we are introduced and there are times that we might have to introduce ourselves. And if you have to introduce yourself, one, if you can shake hands with a lot of people, that's great. You've introduced yourself. Secondly, they probably know that you're the speaker from advanced publicity, and chances are you have a PowerPoint slide up with your name and photograph on. So they really do know who you are. And even if they do not know who you are, if you have to introduce yourself, start by saying, welcome to one of the most valuable seminars you're likely to invest in. As you know, powerful, persuasive presentations are no longer a nice skill to have. They are a matter of business, life and death. Thank you for accepting our invitation. In case we haven't had the pleasure of meeting, I'm Patricia FRIPP. So you see, say something before you introduce yourself. Now, if somebody else introduces you, you certainly don't need to reintroduce yourself. And in a business world, I see this happen all the time. And it's simply because people have not thought of another way to open their presentation. And it's redundant. If someone's introduced you, they know who you are. If they haven't, say something of interest to them. Now, let's look at some other techniques. Let's say you're introduced or you've introduced yourself. Here are a few of the options. You can start with the story. And your story is then going to immediately transition into your premise or your central theme. And when you introduce your central theme, the story should have well documented the point you're going to make. So Lisa, just pick any of your team. Give me one subject that they might be talking about.
Well, I'd actually like to put somebody on the spot and introduce themselves and have you walk them through what they did correct and what they didn't do correct. So Richard, I'm going to pick on you, and I'd like you to introduce yourself as if you were in front of the room and you had a group of coaching clients.
All right. Richard, are you up to the challenge?
Sure.
So before you do that, just let me have a little background. So Richard, what subject will you be speaking about? And pick your favorite, best, and you might be doing one in the next week or 2 weeks.
Let's use the subject of entrepreneurship. It's very broad.
Okay, perfect. And with your subject of entrepreneurship, who will be your audience?
These would be small business owners who have registered for a workshop to learn more.
Okay. And the subject is what is the subject of the presentation that they accepted the invite and thought, wow, I want to go?
The subject is to actually give them some background on what entrepreneurship is about, and to also engage them in a dialogue about how they can really take advantage of goals and set their goals that will help them realize their business objectives for the year. It becomes an exercise in goal setting.
Okay, good. And the title is?
Entrepreneurship in Action.
Oh, right, good.
In development, I apologize. This is in development, so I apologize for that.
Okay, no, that's fine. This is the blessed case. All right, so entrepreneur in action. Then I suggest you come up with a colon, like entrepreneur in action, colon, 6 steps to entrepreneurial success.
Good thought.
Now, it might be 3 steps, or it might be the inside secrets of getting results.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Or it might be the frequently overlooked formula to entrepreneurial success.
Yes, thank you.
Good. Now, left to your own resources, Richard, and let's just imagine in this case, someone is introducing you with all your credentials. You walk on water. You are the god of entrepreneurial success. And we appreciate that you're very brave and you were put in the spot by our friend Lisa, who we know loves doing that to us all. What would be your opening 1 or 2 lines if you had to do it tomorrow?
I usually would like to get their attention.
No, give me the words, Richard, because I can't help you if you tell me what you're going to do. So we know that the purpose of an opening is to get their attention and have them at least think, oh, this is going to be good. Oh, this is better than I expected. So my question is, how do you do that? Give me the words.
We're all here as entrepreneurs, but entrepreneurs, because small businesses, we're all entrepreneurs in small business, but small businesses don't really work.
Okay, stop there. Stop there. We're only looking for an opening line. Okay, good. So how about this? Here's a technique. Don't say anything while you're thinking, because most of the irritating, is when you're thinking. No. Congratulations. As an entrepreneur, you know the economy is driven by our actions. Thank you for accepting our invitation to learn the inside secrets of entrepreneurial success.
Thank you, Patricia. I might use that.
Okay, so that's one way. So congratulate them. And this is true, small business in North America really drives business. It's not the major corporations, it's us. Good. Now, you can also start with a rhetorical question. And again, you're just standing up. Even if you have to introduce yourself, you wait till after this opening. And then our situation, Richard has got great applause. So how about this one? This is the rhetorical question.
Mm-hmm.
If I were to ask you, is 2016 the year you double your sales? Perhaps you'd say yes. Perhaps you'd say no. Most likely you would say, Richard, I would love it to be. Can you tell me how? Well, great news. You are about to hear the 5 inside secrets of taking a good entrepreneurial business and doubling your impact and your, and your sales. So with that formula, it's your options. You might say yes, no, or what you would want them to be thinking is the third. And then congratulations, you're at the right place at the right time.
Very good.
All right, wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you, Richard.
Can we give Richard a little hand?
And Patricia's right, and Richard knows very well. I do like to put people on the spot. I think it's the most dynamic opportunity for a learning experience that you can get. So could we put somebody else on the spot?
Well, let's see if there's any volunteers first.
Fantastic. If you volunteer, just unmute yourself and unmute your video and go ahead. I know Jonathan would love to be volunteering.
Okay, and I see Jonathan's photograph.
There you go.
Movie star hat.
Well, thank you very much, Patricia. Thank you, thank you.
So is this going to be a presentation coming up in the near future?
I've got a talk that I do, which is called the 4 Secrets You Absolutely Must Know to Grow Revenue in Your Business. And It's the Way to Wealth program.
Perfect. Great title. And you see he already has a structure and a formula. So you get a thumbs up from Fripp.
Thank you very
so
much.
Again, your perfect audience, Jonathan, is?
It's going to be an entrepreneur or a business owner who is managing their business but looking to grow revenue in 2016. So as the target is to say, if you were satisfied with the earnings you had last year, but you really want to take your business to the next level, how do we put in place the 4 secrets that you know will be able to drive revenue in 2016?
Okay, and what are the 4 secrets?
4 secrets are, number 1, lead generation. Number 2, improve your conversion rates. Number 3, have your clients purchase more from you. And number 4, have them purchase more frequently.
Good. Perfect. So really your premise can be every business owner can double your sales with the same clients and database. So anyone else you get is a bonus. So that's the point, because that is, and believe me, myself included, none of us maximize the contacts and the customers we already have.
No way. Exactly.
So that's good. So I'm already in tune and excited about your subject. So you walk out, applause, 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 your opening line that grabs their attention.
I knew you were going to ask me this question because I was trying to remember what the question was. I like to use one of the lines as well that Brian Tracy has, which is, this is one of the best times in America to be in business. In 1900, we had 5,000 millionaires in America. In the year 2000, we had 5 million. As we move forward to 2006, we have 8.9 million millionaires in America. And most importantly, 74% of those are entrepreneurs.
Okay, stop there.
Too many information.
Stop there. What we're going to do is take those words and which are good, and we're going to add 2 specific techniques to those words that make them even better.
All right.
And that is the concept of a setup phrase and an impact phrase. So if you know anything about comedy, there is a setup phrase and a punch word or punch phrase. And if a comedian says anything after the punch word or the punch phrase, they kill the laugh. Think of business communications, setup phrase, impact phrase. The impact phrase is what we want people to remember, because understand that 70% of what they love, they are going to forget. Which is why we need repetition and reinforcement, and we need to incorporate every possible technique to make people walk away and remember us and to be able to repeat what they heard. And if you listen to what you said, Jonathan, there were several times. One, I'm suggesting in America is a setup phrase, and you only need to say it once, because when you listen to what you said, there were multiple interesting statistics, but you put in America at the end of several of them, and we know you're talking about America. So imagine in America, there are, or as we look through the history of America, in 1906, this many millionaires. 1940, this many millionaires. So you think in America, colon. Or in America, the number of millionaires are, colon. Then start with an emotion, because remember, we need to emotionally connect to make people interested in our subject. So give me the first words that you used.
Trying to recall exactly what I was using as.
All right, well, let me help you out. How about this? Would it interest you to know that as we look through American history, one of the fastest growing segments is millionaires? Let's go back to 1906. Fast forward to, So look at, would it interest you to know that millionaires are sitting next to you? Or would it interest you to know? Would it fascinate you to know? Would it surprise you to know? Would it amaze you to know? Now, this is, you're using you, you're not saying I, would it interest, amaze, surprise, shock, horrify? So whatever you are going to say next, it's you. In other words, I am talking to you. And you don't say everyone in the room, you all, this audience, it's you. So even if you have 3,000 people, they think, wow, Jonathan's speaking to me. So add the emotion and be aware of the punch word. And if you've done a good job at setting it up, we know it's a million, we know it's America, and we know it's millionaires.
Okay, thank you very much.
Perfect. Now let's are there any more questions, Lisa? I don't know if you're cutting me off in a few minutes. Tell me how long before you give me the hook.
No, Patricia, you've got 50, just trying to turn my video back on here. I'm not used to this. I'm used to always having Paul doing all this stuff. So
yeah. No, listen to her. Lisa, put your hand out. Slap your hand. You are used to Paul handling the technology, not doing all this debris.
See, there we go, you guys. I'm gonna write stuff on the bottom of my STUFF on the bottom of my desktop.
With a big cross.
Yes. So does anybody have any questions right now for Patricia before we move in? We've got about 15, 20 more minutes left, and I want to make sure that people are asking questions. So if they have any. So does anybody have anything open right now, or want to share an idea or a strategy, or want the formula repeated, anything along that line?
All right, they're scorched. They are scorched speechless with my talent. That's one of the lines that I use if nobody asks questions in an audience. All right, John, what can I do for you? Am I still confusing you?
No, but I'm looking forward to the synopsis that you're going to send out, right? I'm taking my notes, I'm doing my thing, but it's hard to make sure you caught everything, right? So making sure that we have your parts. I mean, because I'm enjoying the different comments that you're making, and I make a note that says, setup phrase and impact phrase. Now, I've never really heard that before, but it made a lot of sense to me. And these are just things that I want to be able to think about and consider as I'm planning my next talk.
Good.
So your synopsis will fill in any gaps, because.
Well, what we'll send you is the speech diagram, and of course, with Zoom, you can listen to the audio again. You can listen to the video again. So it really is a great tool.
And I'll make sure that everybody has a copy of the recorded version after the fact. We did receive a question from Erica, and Erica's asked if you could repeat the formula that you suggested earlier.
Good. Who is the audience? Every entrepreneur, every ambitious speaker can. Now, the subject of your talk would be the title. Can deliver powerful, persuasive presentations. Or it could be the result of that. So every entrepreneur can double their business. So whether it is the subject or the result of the subject. So let's go back to the American Payroll Association. Every payroll manager can sell themselves or their ideas to their senior management. That is the title. Every payroll manager can get promoted is the result. So if you look at what is the result of your training, what is the result of your coaching, and earn continuing education credits, or shall we say extra credits. And then the 1, 2, 3, 4 they are the talking points. Now, if you're saying the 4 secrets, then it would be secret 1, secret 2, secret 3, secret 4. If it's strategies, it would be strategy 1, strategy 2, strategy 3, strategy 4. Now, let's say whether it's a speech or a seminar. So you're selling entrepreneur success. You can double your sales. So how am I going to double sales? 1, look at your existing client base. And then 2, you go through whatever it is. Or we are going to sell more to the clients we have. We are going to have events for our clients, whatever your talking points are. So you introduce an idea. Let's just say, analyze your database. Now, you might want to give a description. So what we consider a database is certainly a contact management system. However, beyond that, it is your newsletter list. It is also, how about your LinkedIn contacts, your Facebook friends, your Twitter followers, and your YouTube subscribers. So you see, you're expanding the idea of what your database is. Then you can look at, so with each area, it's how often do you communicate with them? Now you might give an example. So you might give an example from your own business. This is how you developed your contact management system. This is how you develop your database. And this is how you touch the various communities. And then you want a call for action. So your first strategy, as soon as you get back, is to do this. So that becomes a chunk of content. And then, so you have your opening, whatever you decide, story, rhetorical question, bold claim, interesting statistic, however you choose, transition into the premise. And you might actually say, every entrepreneur can. Then the 1, 2, 3, 4, the talking points become your chunks of content. And then you're obviously going to do a review of your key ideas. In our case, there are 5 ways to look at your presentations and put them under a magnifying glass. Do you emotionally connect? Do you have a simple structure? Do you tell good stories? Do you open with impact? And do you have razor sharp specificity? And then you might challenge the audience. I would challenge you to at least listen to this recording again. Look at the speech diagram that Lisa will certainly send you. And then 3, if you're really interested in the FRIPP ideas and you want more details on stories and openings and sales, I suggest you sign up for a free trial of FRIPP VT, which is how you would get more content on this subject. Then, if we are going to look at sales presentations, because all of us have to sell our services. And there is our friend Lisa. Immediately, look, there is FRIPP virtual training on powerful persuasive presentations. So Lisa, yes. Now, so you are going in, but can you go back? Can you go back one? Click on, can you see the free trial on the toolbar? Click on free trial. So there you are, just immediately fill in your name, your email address, and you will immediately have access to the 3 free chapters. Now, if you like it, of course, and you wanted more, then of course you would have a special friend of Lisa partner, and we will give you a code CBT. And anyway, Lisa will let you know all about that. So let's go back, Lisa, to, all right, good. Oh, yes, and we also have a LinkedIn group, and you don't have to be a VT user to join the VT user group, and Lisa will also send you the link on that. But if you go to LinkedIn and just type FRIPP VT, we have a very active group where we actually do answer questions and evaluate opening lines, etc. So let's look at sales presentations, because we all have to sell our services. And if you look at the same principles, let's look at what most sales professionals do. If they're lucky enough, they get in front of a prospect. Let's imagine it's a management team. And they say, hi, I'm John Smith, and I come from the ABC company, and we've been in business for 15 years, and this is our unique methodology, and these are the clients we serve, and we'd love to do business with you. Here's a key idea. This is worth tweeting. Hashtag FRIPPVT. Nobody gives a damn about you. They don't care about your product. They don't care about your training course. They care about themselves. So if you are lucky enough to get into a meeting with management or people who can drive the decision or make the decision, you will have asked good questions before you get there. You have some interest. Not many of us actually get a good audience who can make a decision without some pre-work. So imagine you've had a conversation and you know what their challenges are, their opportunities are, or their interests. So imagine you are now in there. I suggest you start. You've got a champion that said, here's Lisa Patrick, and she's going to discuss how we can. Start with congratulations, because they're more interested in themselves than they are in you. Now, you have to be genuine. What are you congratulating them for? So congratulations. your website revision is spectacular, or your latest advertising campaign is superb, or your stock price has gone up. Most of your competitors are going down. Obviously, your strategies are working. It could be as simple as, congratulations. On my way to this meeting room, everyone I met engaged me, said good morning, asked me if I need help. Obviously, your core values are in action. Then, never thank people for their time. You value their time, you don't thank them for the time. So I would suggest, thank you for the opportunity to discuss how the FRIPP presentation skills training could very well be what you are looking for to increase your sales. Then, if you've had a champion get you ready, make a hero of them. Thank you, John, for your generosity and time and information. And John says, or on the phone you said, you are most interested in hearing bullet, bullet, bullet. Or your challenges are bullet, bullet, bullet. Or your strategies are bullet, bullet, bullet. So you understand this is the speech structure that you just heard in a sales conversation. Does it matter if they don't know how long you've been in business, if they want a trial or if they want to go to the next step? No. You focus, the structure of your presentation is not, this is who we are, this is what we do, this is who we work with, and we'd like to do it with you. No. No, as you will find when you sign up for your free trial in the sales presentations, it will be, if you sound the same as everybody else, you have no advantage. Now, as you're going through their challenges, you are going to help them know how you would strategize. Our approach would be to do this. For example, when the Smith Company called us and said, help, we are a technology company and we only hire seasoned technology salespeople, we naturally assumed that they could tell our company message. We put them up in front of our senior management to give us a mock presentation, and we were horrified. So I have been charged to scour the globe and find the best sales presentation skills company available. We are lucky we're only 38 miles from headquarters. Now that, except for help, is exactly what Shelley Seeger said to me. It wasn't a Smith's company, but it was a very well-known software company. So you see, what you do is you can tell stories that make your case, that show your credibility within your presentation. So they will know everything they need to know about you, but it's designed around specifically how you can help them accomplish their goals.
Thank you, Patricia. We have time for one more very quick question. We've got 5 minutes left. Is there anybody in the audience who would like to ask Patricia one more question before she wraps everything up?
Oh, we can have lots of short little questions.
Or short little questions.
And I'll do my best to give short answers, which are not easy. I will challenge myself if you do.
I have a question. I'd like to know from the audience, how many of you as facilitators and business coaches, and you do presentations all the time, actually record your presentations? I think that's important. Patricia talked a little bit about recording to find out how many times you say the word stuff or you say I, and you don't make the presentation you-based. And so I'd be curious to, if anybody's out there who actually has recorded their presentation and actually paid attention to that.
Hi, this is Tammy.
Hi, Tammy.
Hey. And I have been using my iPad, which is awesome for recording.
It is.
Right? It's quick, it's simple, you can take it wherever you want to go. So, and the first few times was very frightening, actually, watching myself. It's like, oh gosh, I do that, So it's helping, right? To kind of,
Yeah.
I do a lot of hand movement, kind of jerky kind of thing. So I've yes.
Okay, well,
Calming
let's
that down.
pick this up with Tammy. So one, and Tammy's very brave to speak in. Tammy, we do not improve what we're not aware of.
Right.
And I often have people say, oh, all my superiors tell me I talk too fast. I say, well, do you talk too fast? I don't know. Well, have you ever recorded yourself? Well, no. Well, how do you know if the feedback is getting valid? Is valid? And then I always suggest if one person's giving you feedback, you don't know. If 5 leaders are giving you feedback, it's probably accurate. But you need to listen to yourself. So one, that's it. You will not improve what you're not aware of. And when it comes to hand gestures, all you want to be aware of, if they aren't all mirrored and they're not so fast, you can see, I've seen people almost with windmill hands. And here's a technique I learned from Michael Grinder, who is the country's expert on nonverbal communications. And after I heard it, I went back and I looked at old videos. In fact, I found one on YouTube last night I recorded probably, 1992. And I was thrilled to see I was doing it. And that is when you make a point. And the secret of success is discipline. Now you pause, but you freeze your hands and I'm just going to stand up. So the secret of success is discipline. If you drop your hands, you take the power out of the phrase. If you freeze your hands, it is as if you are verbally underlining it.
Oh, interesting. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, Patricia. All right, well, you guys, it's 10 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, and we have to let Patricia go. But thank you very much on behalf of Extra Credits and all of Focal Point. We really appreciate your time and the opportunity to listen and learn, which is very important because it is what all Extra Credits is about. So until next time,
and
video on.
All right, Lisa, we should always have a last word that lingers. So the last word that lingers is, I hope you will remember me. However, much more important remembering me. Remember what FRIPP stands for. Frequently reinforce ideas that are productive and profitable. Go take your trial and get 3 chapters with FRIPP VT, because all learning takes repetition and reinforcement.
Thank you, Patricia.
Thank you, Patricia.
Thank you.
Thank you. Awesome.